Hello and welcome. I'm Anand Naidu, sitting in for Riz Khan. We're going to continue our coverage now on the shootings in the United States state of Virginia. At this stage, we know that it's the deadliest campus shooting in American history. More than 30 people were killed, some of them students, and more were injured during the shootings at Virginia Tech. That's a major university which has more than 25,000 students. It's in the town of Blacksburg, Virginia. That's about 4 hours driving time south of where we are right now in Washington, D.C. That shooting comes 8 years, almost to the day, after the Columbine High School massacre in Colorado, when 2 students killed 12 other students and a teacher. We're going to start our show now with an eyewitness to what happened this morning on that campus. On the line we have Hamza Kuvlan, who is talking to us from Blacksburg in Virginia. Hamza, can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Okay, could you tell me what happened this morning?
Well, first of all, at 7:15 there was shooting in West AJ, which is like about 100 feet from my building where I live. I heard the shooting, and then I thought the police took care of it, but apparently they didn't. So I went to class at 9 a.m., and I passed by Norris Hall, which is near the hall where I was going to. And by the time I left my hall, which is McBride, which is about almost 30 feet or 40 feet from Norris Hall, I saw the cops surrounding the hall, and there was shooting going on.
Okay, so you're telling us that first there was a shooting at 7:15.
Yeah, there was shooting at West AJ almost at 7:15.
And then there was a second shooting after that?
Yes, sir. There was a second shooting in Norris Hall.
And how long after, what was the time in between those 2 shootings?
Almost 2 hours.
Okay, what do you know of what happened in the first shooting?
Well, the first shooting, I heard someone got shot and died at the scene. But I could not collect any information because I was on my way to class. But once I left my class, which ended around 9:50, right when I left, I saw the cops surrounding the other building, Norris Hall, and they were like evacuating all the people around the building. And so they were like, you have to stay away from this building as soon as possible.
Okay, Hamza, as far as we understand, the majority of those people who died in the engineering building.
Yes, sir.
And that took place during the second shootings, which, as you tell us, took place
yes,
2
sir.
hours later.
Yes, sir. Only one person got shot in the first shooting, and the rest were shot all in the engineering building.
What were the circumstances in the engineering building at that time?
Say it again.
What was going on in the engineering building at that time? Did the shooting take place during a lecture, or were students doing other things?
I can't hear you. Could you please say it again?
I'm trying to find out what were the circumstances of the shooting, the second shooting in the engineering building. Were students attending a lecture at that time, or were they doing something else?
Yeah. They were in class, actually. He came to the class and shot most of the students in the class.
Okay. Do you have any information on those students who may have been killed?
No. I know some of them. I know 2 of them who died, actually.
And any indication on how many people you saw who were injured?
Almost 29 people got injured and 31 died.
And what is the situation on the campus right now?
It's actually now it's safe. They shot the shooter, and the place is very secure right now.
Okay, Hamza, stay with us. That's Hamza Kuvlan, a student at Virginia Tech, where those shootings took place this morning. Stay with us. We will be coming back to you. Let's go now to our correspondent, Kimberly Halkett, who's been monitoring the situation down there in Virginia Tech. She's here in Washington, D.C., monitoring those shootings. Kimberly, what's the latest you have?
Well, we are getting the reports that at least as you pointed out, 22 dead, but those numbers expected to be substantially higher. We have been working the phones with our sources since this event occurred, and we've been following it closely. We believe that number is substantially higher at about 31, possibly 32, with a large number of people critically injured, perhaps in the local hospital, and so that number could continue to rise in terms of the number of dead in the coming hours. Obviously, a lot of chaos, a lot of panic Students describing, as you were just talking to one fellow ago, a lot of mass chaos as this situation unfolded. Now, as the hours pass, many students asking why so much time was allowed to elapse between the first and then the second shooting, which is where we're seeing the greater number of casualties, why police were not able to contain the buildings and to try and prevent perhaps this from unfolding so gruesomely even further. We are hearing that we are experiencing unseasonal weather in this region right now, and that certainly hampered the efforts of the rescue squads. Students describe seeing police wearing flak jackets, being heavily armed, walking through the campus, but really not seeming to have any direction. And because this is such a large and sprawling campus, you can imagine how difficult it was to contain a prestigious university, 2,600 acres. So obviously with so many buildings, it was difficult to pinpoint where some of this was coming from. But students saying they heard, many of them learned that this was taking place because they were hearing the shots fired. We don't know the identity or much about the male gunman, whether perhaps there was a second gunman. We are hearing from Al Jazeera employees who have friends who live in the region, even some who perhaps are attending the school, that in fact there may have been, and this is purely speculative, there may have been some potential motive in terms of the fact that the shooter's girlfriend may have been one of the targets. We cannot confirm this. We are certainly efforting to try and get that information. But again, police, as they conduct their investigation, not ruling anything out. And I'm certain that they are investigating that lead as well as dozens of others as the students give their accounts of what happened, of the very troubling times, the very hours where they were left locked down in their dormitories, not having much information other than relying on the internet or an email from the student body or from the campus officials telling them to stay locked down. We hear reports from students that many were leaping out of windows and became injured as a result of trying to flee but not knowing where that safe place was. But certainly, as we see the number of casualties rising, this is making out to be the worst shooting, a campus type of shooting in U.S. history.
Okay, Kimberly, thanks. Stay with us. We are taking your calls on the show. We have on the line now Sheila, who's calling us from Paris. Sheila, go ahead with your call.
Hello. I'm calling from Paris, and I just wonder if the shooter is not from Muslim origin. And because of everything that's happened in Algeria and Morocco recently, and I'm just wondering if it is not from Muslim, if he's not Muslim, the shooter.
Well, I don't think we have any indication at this stage or any details on the person who perpetrated these shootings. Let me go back to Kimberly Halkett. Kimberly, do we know anything about the shooter?
No, we really don't. But, you know, I mean, at this point, because there are so many questions unanswered, you could look at it in many different ways. For example, this is a very prestigious university. It attracted a large number of international students, but it's located in a predominantly white region. So I think it's much too early to try and speculate on the motives in terms of perhaps some kind of racial motivation. I just think that very early on in this investigation. And as I pointed out earlier, we are hearing conflicting reports, in fact, that there may have been some sort of romantic interest that perhaps may have motivated the shooter. But again, so early in this investigation, it's really, the police can't rule anything out and must investigate it all, but I don't think that we can point to anything definitively at this stage.
All right, Kimberly. Well, there's an update we have on the story right now. The Associated Press reporting that at least 31 people, including the shooter, have been killed in this rampage in Blacksburg at Virginia Tech. More than 24 students injured, many of them taken to hospital suffering from gunshot and other injuries. Now, we were just talking about motivation. Well, on the line now we have Congressman Jim Moran, who represents Virginia in the U.S. House of Representatives. Congressman, let me ask you straight off the top, what is your reaction to this?
Well, obviously, your heart goes out to the families of these victims. I doubt that all the parents have even been notified as yet. 31 students, 31 families. They've got their child in college. They assume they're safe, and then you can imagine what it must be like to get a call saying that they no longer have their child. This is a horrible tragedy. It's the worst shooting in American history. I expect that it had something to do with some person who lost emotional control and was able to get hold of a semi-automatic handgun too easily and went on a killing rampage. Apparently it started in a dormitory room where at least one student was killed, and then the person took the gun and went across campus and went on a rampage, shooting everyone that they could find. I'm assuming it was a man who did the shooting. We don't know much information, so we can't conclude much more than that. I do suspect, though, that it may contribute to further debate on the proliferation of handguns in our society, guns that are not used for hunting animals, but for killing human beings.
Congressman, what are you hearing about the situation on the ground right now on the campus? Is it in lockdown at the moment?
I understand that it is in lockdown. Their classes have been suspended for tomorrow as well. I haven't talked to the president of Virginia Tech, who I know very well, but I'm sure he's got so much on his mind. He doesn't need to be bothered by people who just want to be informed. He needs to be making decisions. I'm sure that everyone is suffering a great deal of anxiety, but the main suffering, obviously, is from the families of these innocent victims.
And with 25,000 students, I would imagine that this is one of the bigger campuses in the state of Virginia. What can you tell us about this particular university?
Oh, it's a wonderful university. It has a very good engineering school. In fact, I understand that the engineering school is where most of the students were killed. The best video we have apparently is from a young Virginia Tech student, Jamal al-Bagouti, who took his cell phone apparently and showed where some of the shootings were taking place. But that's as much as we have. We really don't have any specific information. I know this is a close-knit campus. It's a rural area, so the students stick together. They have some very good football teams, but extraordinarily high in terms of academics, and a very diverse campus. They bring many students from around the world. There are many students from Asia, Africa, and particularly from the Middle East who go to Virginia Tech because they have an extraordinarily good engineering school and computer school. They're doing a lot in terms of biotechnology and blast mitigation. I've been working with them on projects like that. They also have a very good architectural school.
Congressman, stay with us. We are taking calls on this show. We've got a caller now from Ramallah on the West Bank. Karim is calling us from there. Karim, go ahead with your call.
Hi, I was just wondering, where was campus security between the first attack and the other? A campus as prestigious as Virginia Tech should have a very impressive security line. Where was security between these two attacks? Also, the media and universities were just waiting for this to happen, because around a couple of months ago when the Palestinian students were attacked in Guilford, the media didn't blow it up as much as this. Of course, this needs much media attention, but shouldn't, after the attack on Guilford, shouldn't universities and also the media make it more aware for people that this is more common on campuses, that this is happening?
Well, let me ask Congressman Moran about this. Do you have any indication of why the rescue people did not get to this particular incident after the first shooting? Why there was such a long delay between the two shootings?
You know, it's hard to understand why they did not respond, because I'm told from the students that the police have a very pervasive presence throughout the campus. I don't know why it would have taken them so long. Perhaps they were trying to get more information. I understand that the first shooting occurred in a dormitory room, so there wouldn't have been any witnesses. The witnesses were dead but for the shooter. So they probably didn't know who the shooter was or where he had gone. But again, it's speculation. I'm sure they're going to write a report They may have been gathering equipment and the like. I don't know why there wasn't more of a response, but I think that the reason why it seems such a long period of time is the original report came from the shooting in the dormitory room. Then the next shootings occurred quite some time afterwards and quite some distance away from that dormitory room. So that may be the problem, that the police may have gone to the dormitory room, the shooter was gone, he was over in another part of the campus shooting at the engineering school. That's all I can figure out.
All right, thank you. That was Congressman Jim Moran talking to us there. He's a congressman from the state of Virginia. From Atlanta, Georgia now, we're going to go to Angela McLeod. She's an author and commentator, a television commentator. Angela, what did you feel when you first heard about this?
Well, I think it's a sad day in America, and the caller that spoke earlier, what about campus security? If something happened in a dorm room like this, the witness, yes, was dead, but I'm pretty sure other people heard gunshots. I think this is a form of domestic terrorism. I think that kids are under a lot of pressure. During this time, you have a lot of finals going on, but where was security, and why did it take so long for the shooter to go from one place to another before being caught? I mean, how could a shooter shoot someone in a dorm room and then go into a classroom, and that's where the massacre really happened? So I think it's a very sad day. The president has spoken. He said that his prayers go out to the families. The White House is monitoring this, but I think now, in this new day and age, we need to have more security everywhere. And as for the statement that the congressman said earlier, yes, we do need to look at our handgun laws. However, guns don't kill people, people kill people.
Angela, do you think they should be, well, this will renew the debate on gun control, but what do you propose? Legislation to curb who could have guns?
Well, you know, I think that people should have a mental background check as well as a background check. There should be a longer waiting period, but you know, in the crime areas, you can buy guns on the street. The guns are out there. But what we need to find out is, who was this person? Why did he do this? And how could he have access to so many people? In high schools in the Bronx, in Brooklyn, in New York, in certain inner cities, you have to walk through a metal detector. In our airports, you have to walk through metal detectors. So today is different. I think we need to have security everywhere.
And thanks to all our guests for being with us today. On the next show, we discuss the upcoming election in France. Don't forget, if you have any thoughts about pressing issues around the world, send your emails to riz@aljazeera.net. See you next time. Street Talk is next.